Have you ever looked closely at the tips of your fingers? Really looked? There, etched into your skin, is a pattern. A beautiful, swirling design of ridges and valleys. This is your fingerprint. It is more than just a pattern. It is a signature, a code that is uniquely yours in all the universe. No one who has ever lived or who will ever live will have the exact same design. It is a fundamental part of what makes you, you. This intricate map has been a source of fascination for centuries. It is a biological marvel that connects us to our deepest past and points toward our technological future. These tiny ridges serve a practical purpose. They help us grip objects. They increase the friction between our skin and the surfaces we touch. But their true significance goes far beyond simple mechanics. They are a marker of our individuality. In a world of nearly 8 billion people, nature has given each of us a personal, unforgeable seal. The story of your fingerprints begins long before you ever touch the outside world. It starts deep within the quiet, nurturing environment of the womb. Around the 10th week of pregnancy, a special layer of skin on the fetus's fingertips, called the volar pads, begins to form. These are temporary, cushion-like swellings on the fingers, palms, and soles of the feet. Think of them as a blank canvas. At this early stage, the blueprint for your fingerprint patterns is already being laid down by your genes. Your DNA dictates whether your patterns will be generally loops, whorls, or arches. But genetics only provides the rough sketch. The fine details, the things that make your print truly yours, are shaped by a whirlwind of random environmental factors inside the womb. As the fetus moves, as it touches the wall of the amniotic sac, pressure is exerted on those developing volar pads. The density of the amniotic fluid, the exact position of the fetus in the womb, and even the rate at which the skin layers are growing all play a crucial role. By the time a fetus is about 19 weeks old, the fingerprint patterns are permanently set. They are locked in place for the rest of that person's life. While every fingerprint is unique in its fine detail, the overall patterns can be classified into 3 main types. The most common of these, found in about 60 to 65% of the population, is the loop. The next major category is the whorl, which accounts for about 30 to 35% of all fingerprints. Whorls are circular or spiral patterns. They look like tiny whirlpools or the rings of a sliced tree trunk. The rarest of the 3 main patterns is the arch. Found in only about 5% of people, arches are the simplest in form. In an arch pattern, the ridges flow from one side of the finger to the other with a gentle rise or wave in the center. However, the true uniqueness of a fingerprint is not just in its general pattern. It lies in the finer details, the so-called minutiae. These are the tiny variations, such as ridge endings, bifurcations where a ridge splits in 2, or dots, which are very short ridges. The question of why fingerprints are unique takes us to the heart of the nature versus nurture debate. Our genes are the architects. They lay down the blueprint for our fingerprints. This is why family members often share the same general fingerprint patterns. But your genes do not work in a vacuum. They create the plan, but the construction is left to the chaotic and unpredictable environment of the womb. The exact pressure of the amniotic fluid, the subtle movements of the fetus, the precise hormonal levels in the mother's body. All these factors introduce an element of randomness. This is why even identical twins, who share the exact same DNA, have different fingerprints. Think of it like this. Imagine 2 master chefs are given the exact same recipe, the genetic code. They are also given the exact same ingredients. However, they are working in 2 slightly different kitchens. This beautiful interplay between a fixed genetic code and a random developmental environment is a concept known as stochastic development. It is a powerful force in biology, responsible for much of the variation we see in the natural world. For centuries, humanity has searched for a reliable way to identify individuals. Signatures can be forged. Names can be changed, eyewitness accounts can be flawed, but fingerprints offer something different. They offer a physical, unchanging truth. At the turn of the 20th century, figures like Sir Francis Galton and Edward Henry developed classification systems that allowed fingerprints to be organized and searched in a logical way. For the first time, law enforcement had a method to link a suspect to a crime scene with scientific certainty. A latent print, An impression left behind by the oils and sweat on a person's fingers could be lifted from a surface, compared to a database of known prints and used to identify a culprit. This process has brought countless criminals to justice and has exonerated many innocent people. A single, clear fingerprint can be the most compelling piece of evidence in a courtroom. The same principles that make fingerprints invaluable to forensic science also make them a powerful tool for security in our daily lives. In an increasingly digital world, we are constantly asked to prove who we are. We do this with passwords, PINs, and security questions. But these methods have their weaknesses. A fingerprint, however, is something you are, not something you know. This is the foundation of biometric security, a field that uses unique biological characteristics for identification and access control. You likely carry this technology in your pocket right now. Modern smartphones, laptops, and even door locks use fingerprint scanners to grant access. When you first register your print, the device takes a high-resolution image. It maps the unique minutiae of your finger and converts this map into a secure digital template. Banks are using fingerprint biometrics to authorize transactions at ATMs and online. Airports are implementing it to speed up security and boarding processes. In some countries, fingerprints are used for voting, helping to prevent fraud and ensure the integrity of elections. The story of the fingerprint is far from over. As technology advances, our ability to read and interpret these intricate patterns is becoming more sophisticated than ever before. Advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning are revolutionizing how we analyze fingerprints. We are moving beyond the flat, two-dimensional scans of today. New three-dimensional scanning technologies can capture the full depth and detail of the ridges and valleys, including the pore structure within the ridges themselves. We are entering an era where fingerprints might tell us much more than just who we are. Researchers are exploring the deep connections between the genes that influence fingerprint patterns and other traits. Early studies suggest that certain fingerprint patterns may be correlated with a predisposition for specific medical conditions. In the future, a simple fingerprint scan might be able to provide clues about a person's ancestry or other inherited characteristics, adding another layer of information to this already rich biological marker. So we return to where we began, to the tips of your fingers, to the swirling patterns that have been with you since before you were born. We have seen that they are not just random lines. They are the result of a profound biological process. Your fingerprints are a physical manifestation of your individuality, a concept that is central to what it means to be human. They prove that in all the cosmos, there is no one else exactly like you. This is not a philosophical claim, it is a biological fact. Nature, in its infinite creativity, has ensured that every single person carries their own indelible mark. It is a signature that cannot be forged, a story that cannot be rewritten. It is a quiet celebration of diversity, written into the very fabric of our being, a silent masterpiece of creation. And it serves as a humble yet powerful reminder that the greatest mysteries of the universe are not always out there in the stars, but are sometimes hidden in the palm of your hand, waiting to be understood.